Hello everyone and welcome to Career Launcher. So in today's class, we are going to discuss a current news that is very much in the news. I'm sure if you have opened today's The Hindu newspaper website, you must have seen this, that US Senate approves war powers resolution in rebuke to Trump. So that is what we are going to discuss it in today's class. So I'm sure what is West Asia, we'll be talking about it. We'll discuss in detail about the war that started from 20th February this year, the US-Iran war. Then what are the sequence that happened? We will talk about that. And I'm sure you must have a little bit idea of the past events that were happening actually in the last few months, especially from 20th February onwards this year. Okay, so let us start without wasting our time. So first of all, we have to understand about the US Senate. So first we'll a little bit read about the news, then we will go back in the history or the past. So the US Senate for the first time approved a war powers resolution on Tuesday, that is 23rd June, seeking to block US military action against Iran. Okay, so before that, first of all, we have to understand what exactly is US Senate. Now, since the word US Senate is coming again and again, we should know what exactly is US Senate. So first of all, I'm sure you must be aware that we have a parliament. We call it as Indian Parliament, right? Similarly, we have British Parliament is there. Okay, but in USA, they do not use the word parliament. They use the word Congress. So it is called as United States Congress. Okay, so US Congress is like US Parliament, but they do not use the word parliament. They use the word Congress. So it is a legislative branch of the federal government of the United States. It is a bicameral legislature. I'm sure you must be aware of these terms. Unicameral means one house. Bicameral means two houses. So it has two houses. Okay. Including a lower body, a lower house called as US House of Representative and the upper house called as US Senate. Both are headquartered in Washington, D.C. They meet in US capitals. Capitol Hill. It is also called as US Capitol Hill. So we use the word Capitol Hill. Or capital region, that is US Congress. So basically we have two houses in USA, US Congress. So first is called as House of Representative. House of Representative. Representative. It is also called as lower house. Very similar to Lok Sabha in India. I'm using the word similar because it is not exactly the same. Okay. Similarly, we have Senate in USA called as upper house. Very similar to Rajya Sabha. Rajya Sabha. Okay, but you should know one more thing. That as compared to Rajya Sabha, the Senate is much more powerful. It is one of the most powerful upper house in the entire world. It is said. It is very powerful. Because generally we believe that lower house are more powerful. But in USA, the Senate, the upper house is very powerful. Okay. I'm not going in that detail how powerful it is, etc. They can even block. You can just remember that they can block the budget also. So in India, budget needs only approval from Lok Sabha. You know this. But in America, of course, even the upper house, that is Senate, can block the budget. So Senate has a lot of powers. Okay. Now, so basically, and I'm sure you must be aware, we have total 535 members. So 100 senators and 435 representatives. Okay. So 435 members are here and 100 are here. And I'm sure you must be aware. So there are 50 states of USA. Every state sends 2 Senate. So there are hundreds like this. Okay. So 100 Senate members are there. Okay, now let us talk. That is more than enough. We are not going very much in detail. Otherwise, it will be too much for you. Now, here we are talking about US Senate, means US upper house. That is very similar to Indian Rajya Sabha. Okay, so the US Senate has actually approved, they passed a resolution. And that resolution is called as a war powers resolution. So they passed a resolution that USA should not be taking war or should not continue the war against Iran. Okay. So lawmakers warily watch President Trump's effort to resolve a conflict, etc. So lawmakers means why? The members of the Senate. For example, we use the word lawmaker in India for Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha MP. Right. Similarly, the members of House of Representative and members of Senate are actually lawmakers there. Right. So it was the 10th time when the Senate has tried to stop the war. 50 to 48. That is what you should be knowing. And right now, Mr. Marco Rubio, US Secretary of State. See, like we have in India, Foreign Minister. The Foreign Minister of India is Mr. S. Jaishankar, right? So similar to that, in America, there is a post. They do not use the word Foreign Minister. They use the word Secretary of State. So Secretary of State is nothing but Foreign Minister of America. But the term used is Secretary of State. So US Secretary of State Marco Rubio is actually in United Arab Emirates. First leg of 3-nation tour. So basically US, I'm sure you must be aware, this region is called as Gulf nations. So first of all, I'm sure you must be aware, let me tell you. This entire region is called as West Asia. We are talking about West Asia crisis, etc. or Middle East. Okay. Also, this is Persian Gulf or Arabian Gulf. So this region is called as Gulf countries. Okay. So he's on a Gulf nation tour, right? First leg of a 3-nation tour of Gulf countries. Gulf countries means this region, right? Okay. So this region, so he's visiting 3 countries, UAE, Kuwait, and Bahrain. So this is UAE, United Arab Emirates. So there is a US base in UAE. This is Qatar. Al Udeid Air Base is there, and this no, but he's not visiting Qatar, Kuwait, and Bahrain. Sorry, not Qatar. So UAE. This is Kuwait, and somewhere here, just north of Qatar, you will find this small island called as Bahrain. So he's visiting these 3 places, and we have seen that there is US military headquarters in UAE, Kuwait, Bahrain, on all these 3 places. In fact, in Iraq also there is US military base. In fact, in Qatar also there is US military base. But right now, Marco Rubio has decided to go to these 3 countries. First, right now, he is visiting UAE. This is being in the news. Okay. Now, we will discuss now this war power resolution. Is it binding? That is the question. And now we will discuss it in today's class. That is it. If the US Senate has passed this law, is it binding on the president? So let us move on. What is war powers resolution? Yes, in a first, US Senate approves war power resolution and rebuke to Trump over Iran conflict. Okay. Now, US Senate for the first time approved a war power resolution on 23rd June 2026, seeking to block US military action against Iran. Okay. So this was the 10th time Senate has dropped it, and first in this case, in this war. While the resolution is largely symbolic, yes, it is not binding on President Trump. This is just symbolic in nature and does not fully carry the force of law. So it is just a resolution, non-binding resolution. That was symbolic, that yes, Senate is saying that we are disapproving this war. You should stop it as soon as possible. Okay, that's what you should be knowing. Even some of the Republican lawmakers, it means some of the senators means the member of Senate is called as senators also, or lawmakers. So lawmaker can be used for both member of Senate and member of House of Representatives. So Republican, so I'm sure you must be aware, Mr. Donald Trump, there are 2 parties. First of all, you should know there are 2 US parties. There are many parties, but 2 are more prominent political parties. I'm sure you must be aware, this one is of Republican. This is the logo of Republican Party. Elephant. And this is the logo of Democrat. That is donkey. So these are 2 prominent political party, and I'm sure you must be aware that Mr. Donald Trump, DT, Donald Trump belong to this, whereas Barack Obama and Joe Biden, they belong to Democrat. Okay. Now let us talk about the war. So basically we are talking that the Democrat, actually some of the Democrats were actually also opposing this war. We will discuss it, but let's go back to the war first. We will discuss the history of the war, and then again we will come back to this news of war power resolution. Okay. So let us start. I'm sure you must be aware, on 28th February 2026, suddenly America, under Operation Epic Fury, they launched an attack on Iran. And then Israel also attacked Iran under Operation Roaring Lion. And after that, Iran started bombing back US military base. So US military base in Iraq, US military base in Kuwait, in Qatar, in Bahrain, in UAE, under Operation True Promise 4. These operations you should remember because chances of being asked is very high. Okay, so opening strikes and regional escalation. So this you should be knowing, 28th February 2026. And on the first day, actually, the Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, the supreme leader of Iran, was assassinated. That is what you should be knowing. And there was a direct strike on the school in Menab, where I think more than 100 children died. That was very much in the news. Then Iran retaliates back, blocks the Strait of Hormuz. I'm sure Strait of Hormuz, by this time you should be knowing, this is Strait of Hormuz. Very important place, or a route for movement of oil, natural gas, and even fertilizer and other stuffs. So this Iran blocked it because all the oil and natural gas goes from this region. This region is famous for oil and natural gas. Okay. So that's what you should be knowing. So these news were there. Kuwait mistakenly shoots down American jets. So these things. Iris Dana was submerged. An Iranian ship was coming back, and US Navy torpedoed it. So what happened was, I'm sure, so somewhere from, this is Vishakhapatnam, or Vizag, I'm writing in short, Vishakhapatnam, where Milan exercise was done. So the ship of Iran was coming back, and somewhere here, around the southern tip of Sri Lanka. So let me write it here. So this is the southern tip of Sri Lanka. This is Sri Lanka, and southern tip of Sri Lanka, somewhere here, Iris Dana was there. It was coming from India, going back to Iran. So somewhere on the southern tip of Sri Lanka, the Iranian ship was shot down by US submarine. Then after, of course, Ayatollah Mustafa Khamenei, the son of Ali Khamenei, became the supreme leader, etc. That's what you should be knowing. And many other high-ranking official was assassinated. So after that, we have seen blockade of Strait of Hormuz. The war happened from both the sides. Attack happened, etc. and all. Okay. Iran opens, faces total destruction of civilian power grids. Many things happen and all. So there were mediation, attempt for mediation also. Brushing of joint China-Pak 5-point proposal. Israel also launched attack, etc. So there were the wars kept on happening. Okay. So what happened was, on 8th April, the US and Iran agreed to 2 weeks of conditional ceasefire. And it is said that it was brokered by Pakistan, and the Pakistan invited J.D. Vance, Vice President, and the Foreign Minister of Islamabad, and the Foreign Minister of Iran, Mr. Abbas Araghchi, to Islamabad. However, the talks was not very successful. I'm sure you must be aware. Then a brief period of chicken and egg brinkmanship. So we have seen a lot of ups and downs. War happening, stopping happening. Starting the war, then stopping it, then ceasefire. Then so many times it happened that, of course, I cannot discuss it in detail, but I'm sure you must be aware of that. Then what happened was, around 4 to 30th May, Operation Project Freedom. Actually, USA suspended its commercial escort program. So basically, around 4th May, the USAID tried to actually escort all its merchant vessel through that Strait of Hormuz. So these things were in the news. Just remember these name of operations. And again, the war started, and many things happened. What can I say? So many things happened, ups and downs, ups and downs, ups and downs. On 14 June 2026, negotiator officially announced Islamabad Memorandum to formally end the war. So 14 June, they decided to actually formally end the war. And 17 June, after G7 summit this year happens in Evian, Les Bains. We have taken a separate class. Go to our video section of our YouTube channel. You can watch it. So just after G7 summit, in Palace of Versailles, this agreement was signed. Iran's President Masoud Pezeshkian and Donald Trump was present here. This is the photo. Okay. And there are a lot of things that were agreed. And these are actually the 14-point agreement that we're talking about. First, immediate and permanent termination of war, including Lebanon front. Why we are talking about Lebanon? Because here is Israel, and the north of Israel, you will find Lebanon. And there's a grouping called as Hezbollah, which was fighting for Iran. So Hezbollah was attacking also Israel, because Israel had attacked Iran, etc. These things were in the news. So Iran said, when we are stopping the war, you have to ensure that you should not be bombing Lebanon also. That was one thing. Okay, second point. So that is where Tehran has repeatedly said it expected Lebanon to be covered under the truce or under the agreement. Second point, respect for internal affairs. Why? Because in January, we have seen some protest in Iran with regards to a rise in prices and other things. And inflation, etc. Devaluation of currency. So America had commented at that time. Okay, so that's why Iran said do not interfere. Both should not be interfering in internal matters. And extendable 60-day time deadline. So final deal and a maximum. So 60 days. Countdown now began after 2 leaders of the 2 countries officially signed MOU. So means that for the 60 days we are having this actual negotiation period. That we will achieve a final deal within the 60 days. Right now we are actually, for the next 60 days, we are stopping the war. Okay, US to end blockade. So US decided to remove all the blockades, especially in the Strait of Hormuz. They promised to remove all their naval ships, etc. in that region. Next is Strait of Hormuz, है ना? They signed an MOU. Iran will make arrangement using its best effort to allow safe passage of commercial vehicles. So they will allow movement of safe passage of commercial vehicles through Strait of Hormuz. That was promised by Iran also. Okay, so this passage, है ना? So America said that we will remove all our naval ships which was there and all the aircraft carrier, etc. And Iran said we will allow all the commercial passage of commercial vehicles or commercial ships. We will allow. Money for Iran construction. Iran has put the condition that since we have been destroyed in the war, we have suffered a lot, you have to give me at least $300 billion. So they agreed for it. But of course, there is no guarantee that USA will provide this. Okay. Maybe UAE and other countries will actually make a fund and send give this $300 billion. But actually, $300 billion deal was been done. Okay. Next is sanctions to end. So all the sanctions or economic boycott. Because in the past, we have seen USA and UN Security Council had put a lot of sanction that nobody should be doing trade deal with Iran, etc. And if this will be successful, then it is a good news for India also, because now we can buy oil from Iran, and that too in rupee, because in 2018, Iran had promised something like that we can buy oil and natural gas from Iran, or oil from Iran not in terms of dollar, but we can pay in rupee. So these things were there. So we hope that if this will improve, this will be good for India also. Next is no nuclear weapon. Iran has agreed not to procure or develop a nuclear weapon. Okay. So Iran has said that, okay, we will not develop any nuclear weapon. But who will check it? Because nuclear reactor is there. So who will check whether nuclear energy is being made or nuclear bomb is made? So there is generally an agency called as IAEA, International Atomic Energy Agency. Okay, we have taken a class. You can search on it. US-Iran nuclear deal. US-Iran nuclear deal, career launcher law entrance. You search this. US-Iran nuclear deal, career launcher law entrance. You search it, you will get a video on this. Okay. And then you will get to know about that. Next is point 9 and 10, status quo. Okay, US and Iran agreed to a status quo of its nuclear program in the meantime until the enriched uranium can be dealt with. Okay, so means we will not change our right now the position, whatever is the position right now. Status quo means as it is. We will not change anything. Okay, so these things were in the news. Now, 11, frozen funds. A lot of funds of Iran has been frozen. I'm sure, like for example, if Iran had put some money in international bank, that has been frozen, etc. in the past. So they said we will defroze all those assets. USA has promised this. And a monitoring and final negotiations will continue to happen then. So that was the deal that was signed actually in Versailles. And after that, they said, okay, let's start, because in the next 60 days, they have to achieve a final deal. So the deal is supposed to start, but there are a lot of dramas that happened. Actually, US Vice President J.D. Vance was there, and Speaker Muhammad Bagher Ghalibaf was sent from Iran side. And Pakistan and Qatar was acting as a mediator in this. Okay, so initially we have seen actually a lot of walkout, etc. I'm sure you must be aware. So Donald Trump has threatened that Iran won't have a country, etc. So these things happen. And the moment this deal was done, even after that, although it was promised that Lebanon, it will include Lebanon, we have seen actually Israel attacking Lebanon. So these things were actually in the news. Okay, Pakistan and Qatari mediators worked throughout the day to be de-escalate the standoff, etc. These things were in the news. Okay, the 60-day peace roadmap, Okay, so these are, we hope that things would be better soon. Immediate 60-day US sanction waiver has been given, etc. But actually, again, there are so many to and fro that is happening. First day something is happening, next day, tomorrow something else is happening. So how can I say what will happen? However, they have said, the USA has said, okay, we will defreeze the asset. And from that unfreeze asset, you should buy our soy, corn and wheat. Iran's frozen asset is there in international banks, etc. So America said, okay, we will unfreeze that. So you can use it, but you should use it to buy our soy, corn and wheat from our American farmers. That is what the condition has been put. So let us see what will happen. This has been very much in the news, so I have decided to discuss it. Okay. And so these things are there right now. I'm not right now commenting on it because let's wait further. because there are so many ups and downs that is happening. Okay. So now, right now, in this case, war power resolution has been passed by US Senate, which is actually symbolic, non-binding, I've told you. And it signals that Donald Trump should stop the war with Iran. And time after time. So we are talking about this, that there are cases where even the Republicans, on this vote, absence of 2 Republicans, including this 2, left GOP means grand old party. So we are talking about the Republican. So we have seen 2 Republican party candidate senators, they were missing, they were absent. Perhaps they were sending the signal that I cannot support Republican here. Maybe they were not happy with Donald Trump or something like that. So these are the things. So Trump himself is heading to the Capitol this week, or the US Parliament, US Congress, to meet with GOP senators as Vice President JD Vance. Has been overseas. So Vice President is overseas. Vice President JD Vance is in Switzerland to have talks. So Donald Trump will meet with his own senators. GOP means grand old party, means Republican senators, to convince him, them, etc. and all. So let us wait. What will happen? Republicans have, like, the agreement in 14-point deal, they had agreed for $300 billion fund. Although it is not very clear that whether US will be contributing to that fund or not. So this $300 billion help that is going to be, that under this 14-point agreement that was signed in Versailles in France. Whether this agreement includes this agreement includes $300 billion, but there is no guarantee that America will be giving this fund. It might come from other Gulf countries and all, and they will try to arrange from some other place. But the Republicans are not happy that why you have promised this much huge amount of money. During the Barack Obama days, there was something $1.7 billion deal was done. When 2015 Iran deal was done. That is what I'm talking about. Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action, which was later cancelled by Donald Trump. So you should search it, US-Iran nuclear deal, career launcher law intense, you will get a video. Okay. So when US-Iran nuclear deal, JCPOA, Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action, was done during Barack Obama days, which was later on in 2018 cancelled by Donald Trump. At that time, the amount that was supposed to be given to Iran was $1.7 billion. But now here they are talking about $300 billion. That's why Republican, their own party members are not happy in this case. Okay, that is what is being talked about. So these things were actually in the news. Now Trump's reaction. What was the Trump's reaction on this? So Trump said poorly timed, meaningless on war power resolution passed by the US Senate. Okay, that is what you should be knowing. Now, this was in the news that, okay, IAEA chief, International Atomic Energy chief, had said, Rafael Mariano Grossi, that we will go and inspect the nuclear site, because USA had bombed 3 prominent nuclear sites of Iran. So they will go and inspect there. But Iran said, no, we will not allow. Inspect bomb nuclear sites. So there were 3 bomb nuclear sites. Fordo, Natanz and Isfahan. These are the 3 nuclear sites in Iran that were bombed by USA during this war. I'm sure you must be able. Last year also it was in the news. Yes, last year actually they had bombed. Last year also in June we had seen a war. Okay, so they said Iran has said that we will not allow International Atomic Energy Agency officials to actually go and check the sites that were bombed. Okay, so that is what it was in the news. Please help me. Please write in the comment section, where is the headquarters of IAEA? It was formed as there was an Atoms for Peace resolution, Atoms for Peace agreement that was signed by a US president. And that initiative led to establishment of IAEA. Please tell me what is the full form of IAEA, headquarter, and formed in which year? This is the homework in the comment section. Okay, so this is all about today's class. Please subscribe to our channel, press the like button, share this video. Thank you everyone. Thanks for watching. Have a nice day.